Hi everyone. Today I am sharing a closer look at the Gina K Designs Fancy Foils, and I am going to be using the Fancy Foils Swatch Book to create a handy reference guide that I can use again and again. If you've ever wondered how each foil looks once it's been foiled, this video is going to be great, and I love using my swatch books when referencing colors. I will have all of my supplies linked down below and in the video description that I'm using today. Now, here's a look at the Swatch Card Set. Now, this is sold by Gina K Designs and it is also available at other online websites. There are 36 cards in this set, but it's allowing you to foil 32 of the fancy foils from Gina K Designs, but giving you a couple extra cards for some other fun foils you may have in your collection. They measure about 2 3/4 by 4 inches. They're not in any order when you first open your pack. So I just went through and did them, laid them out in a rainbow order. So it was easier for me to swatch them out. All of them have that black toner foil down there. That is where we're going to do the swatching. It has the name of the foil and then also the brand name, which is the Gina K Designs Fancy Foils. Now, I know everybody likes to store their products differently. I personally like to keep my fancy foils in their packaging and I place them in this 6 by 8 page protector in a binder. And I will link that down below in the video description as well. Once I matched up my first color, which is going to be red hot, I turned on my fuse foiling system, hit the button, and so it's warming up to the number 3 level. So that will turn a solid green once it's warmed up. Then I'm going to take a long bladed scissors. These are from Spellbinders, and I'm going to trim out a piece of foil to fit over the swatch. I do recommend a long bladed scissors. I just find it's easier to trim out these foils versus a small scissors. Now, I have to say that everything on the front of this card, all the writing, everything on here is toner. So it's all foilable. I did not realize that at first, or I did, but I just wasn't thinking on this first one. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is buff over the front of your card with a Swiffer cloth and then also the back of your foil. I'm placing my foil so it's going to cover the name of the fancy foil, which is this red hot, and I'm also covering that block. I didn't put anything over the Gina K designs at first. I thought, oh, I'll just leave that black, but I'm soon going to learn my lesson. So I place this in my carrier sheet and then I'm feeding this through my fuse foiling system with the folded edge going in first. Then I'm going to pull that out. And this is where I realized my mistake. So on the carrier sheet, because I didn't put anything over that logo, the Gina K Designs logo and the title Fancy Foils transferred to my carrier sheet. So lesson learned there. I'm going to carefully peel back the foil, revealing the gorgeous red hot fancy foil. And I will continue to do this throughout the entire video. I do show just kind of the reveal at the end. But what I'm going to point out is that I'm grabbing the black onyx fancy foil and I'm going to trim this into thin strips. I'm going to place this over the top of that title, the Gina K Designs fancy foil. So that way I don't get a ton of that transferring to my carrier sheet. It's not going to hurt anything if it does transfer, but I like to kind of have a nice, clean as possible carrier sheet. So here I trimmed out a piece of the radiant red. I also have that black onyx on the top. Now, as always, the pretty side is always facing up. Everything faces up. The card design, whatever you have for a design, faces up, and your fancy foil faces up. And then you run that through your machine. So once I got into the swing of things, this really became just very relaxing and kind of therapeutic to do. What I would do is I would get this lined up, I would run it through the machine, and then after it comes out the back, you don't want to pull it, just let it kind of guide itself out. I will kind of put them off on the side, work on doing the next one, and you'll see as it goes. I always have one on the side to let it cool for just a few seconds before pulling the foil off. So I went through the entire collection in rainbow order as best as I could. There is one, I think, bubblegum, that I had to do later on because I didn't have it. I couldn't find it at first. And through all of this, I did also discover that I was missing jelly bean green. So I definitely am going to be adding that. Now, stick around to the end of the video. I am going to show you how the white poly glaze works and also what you can do with it. It is very key that when you are doing these or any foiling when it comes to using a fused foiling system or the mini mink is that you are using a Swiffer cloth or something to that off. If there is any dust particles that get in between your foil and that toner, it is going to leave a little spot. And there were a couple of them that I did kind of show up close that I may have forgotten to dust with the Swiffer. So you definitely want to do that. Maybe not such a big deal when you're swatching, but it is a really good habit to get into. I think this is an incredible product that Gina came out with. It seems something that would be very simple, but when it comes to swatches, I am a firm believer in having swatches of cardstock and swatches of ink. I use my swatch book all the time when it comes to my ink. So I was really excited to see that Gina came out with these. They've been out for a little while. I'm just finally getting around to foiling all of them and getting all of my foils swatched. I love comparing colors when working on a project and trying to figure out what I want to do. Now, I haven't quite decided how I'm going to keep my swatches for these foils, if I'm going to put them in a pocket protector, if I'm going to maybe punch a hole at the top and keep them on a type of binder ring. I haven't quite decided yet, but I am at least got half the battle done where they are all swatched, including all the silver and gold. Now, she does also have some blank ones, meaning that there is that square of toner foil, but there's no word on it. So if you have some foils from maybe Thermo Web, then you can grab those and foil those and then just write the name of it at the top. Now, here I have a couple of them that are actually, I have a lot from Thermo Web. These were like the shattered glass ones that I thought were really gorgeous. So I went ahead and foiled a couple of those. I just need to write the name in. Now I'm going to work on the white polyglaze. And if you're not familiar with polyglaze is very, very similar to toner. It's just that it's either white, in this case for the white polyglaze, or there's polyglaze where it's very, very light gray. And I do find that those foil beautifully. Now with the white polyglaze, it's going to be a little hard to tell on camera, but their polyglaze side is like a shiny kind of coating. The back of it is more of a cardstock look or a dull feeling. You want the side that is shiny. So that is what we're going to foil. You're going to buff that with your Swiffer cloth, and then you're going to place your foil on the top. Now, with the polyglaze, same as the toner, anything that is exposed is going to stick to your carrier sheet. So you can always have excess foil. You don't want excess toner or white polyglaze. Now, what you can do with these white polyglaze sheets is you can die cut from them. You are pretty much creating your own foiled cardstock, whether if you think about maybe a mirror cardstock, things like that, you can do die cutting from it. So I have the happy birthday word die from Gina K Designs. I'm going to trim that out to the size I need, save the other piece, and then I'm going to die cut it out with my mini Intri Cut machine. So, what's really great for this is doing die cut words, die cut shapes, die cut frames. So, I love that we have this option. You are always going to want to foil first and then do your die cutting. That's going to give you the best result. And it die cuts out just absolutely perfect with that nice beveled edge for a clean, crisp look. So, I am going to have some finished pictures on my blog of all of my foiling. I will have links provided down below in the video description to most of the products that I used today. I really enjoyed creating all of these swatch cards and being able to compare my different foils depending on what project I'm working on. So that wraps up my swatching session using the Gina K Designs Fancy Foils Swatch Book. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the colors close up, and that helps you when you are choosing the perfect foil for your next card making project. Now, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more crafty inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting. Here is another video I think you may enjoy.